Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming online to attend this meeting. I shall hand over to, today I will hand over to Klaus to make the housekeeping announcement. Over to you, Klaus.
Okay. Good evening, President Louis. Good evening, fellow Rotarians and guests. It's my pleasure to remind you at our housekeeping rules. So please ensure that you have registered under your full name and not a nickname. And please keep online your video so we can see you and register your attendance. This session will be recorded, and the record keeping is for our club promotion, and the photos and videos might be used to promote our club. You all will be muted during presentations and talks, but you can use the chat function to communicate with other members. And if you have questions and answers, please raise your hand. And if possible, please stay online. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sergeant at Arms Klaus. Thank you very much for the introduction. And now I shall share screen. Okay, welcome again. So I will officially call a start to this meeting. Today is our third meeting, and we are very excited that today is actually the first meeting where we invite guests and also, interested persons who are, willing to share your time and effort to join us in serving, to serve to change lives. So thank you for coming, one and all. We'd like to thank PDG, Ivor for being here, honorary members, past presidents. Thank you all for coming, fellow Rotarians, and also friends.
Where's the queue? Let's go over the queue.
Okay, so we will need to mute everyone first. First of all, we also would like to wish all our Muslim friends, okay, Selamat Hari Raya Haji, which was yesterday. I'm sure all of us had a good time and a good rest. For some of us who are, busy out walking and doing good deeds, thank you all again for serving to change lives. Now we would like to invite our Rotarian, Joseph, to give a toast to Rotary International, please. Is Rotarian Joseph in the house? I saw him earlier.
Hello, President Louis.
Yes, hi, Rotarian Joseph.
Hi, President Louis. It is my pleasure today to raise the toast to the Rotary Club of Ceylon. The Rotary Club of Ceylon is in the state of Kerala, South India. It has 44 members, according to what we checked on the website, and it is about 73 years old. We are pleased this evening to have Rotarian Humayun Taj, who is the president of the club and who is passing through Singapore. Fellow Rotarians, please join me in a toast to the Rotary Club of Ceylon, coupled with a toast to Rotary International.
Rotary Club of Ceylon.
Rotary Club of Ceylon. Yeah. Rotary Club of Ceylon, Rotary Club of Rotary International.
Rotary International.
Thank you, Rotarian Joseph.
Okay.
Now for some announcements. Today is the birthday of Director Rotarian Ranga Somanathan, and he is our Director for Public Relations and Public Image. So we wish him happy birthday. Today is his actual day. And for 24th of July, we have our Sergeant at Arms Vinit Iyengar's birthday. So we wish him in advance. And then on the 25th, we have Rotarian Andreas Duerst. And then Sachin Kakiwal, also 25th. And happy anniversary to Honorary Member and Past President, Pak Raymond, and his wife, Jessie, on the 24th of July. I'm sure that he will appreciate us wishing him in private. He's not able to join us through Zoom, but I think all of you can send him a private message through chat. Induction of new members. We are so pleased that our first meeting where we invite guests and friends, and we have already 2 inductions, namely Krishna Madhu as well as Gerard Vinlund. So I shall now proceed to read the charge to them. In order to shorten the time, I decided that we should do both at the same time. And this is for all members' understanding, not because we want to do it to shorten the time, but we really have a tight program, and we have a speaker coming up. Plus, we have Kaifer, following what IPP Dinesh had done. Kaifer has served us very well, so we want to do that. So in order to do that, we need to reduce the time spent for other things. But we welcome Mr. Krishna Madhu as well as Mr. Gerard Ferdinand Vinlund. Fellow Rotarians, it is my privilege and pleasure today to welcome into our membership Mr. Krishna Madhu Kumar Naidu and Mr. Gerard Ferdinand Vinlund, who were proposed for membership by Rotarian Mukundan and Rotarian Suresh Kirti, respectively. The proposals have been reviewed in accordance with the Constitution and bylaws of the club. Madhu Naidu and Gerard, as you would like to be known in the club, we now proceed to admit you into membership in the Rotary Club of Singapore. You have been chosen for membership in this club because your fellow members believe in you to be a leader in your field and have qualities which will allow you to carry out the work of a Rotarian. In electing you to membership, we are doing more than taking you into fellowship. We are making you a trustee with us of Rotary's ideals. Knowing you to be a Rotarian, the world will henceforth judge Rotary by your conduct. Membership in Rotary is an honor and privilege, and every privilege has its corresponding obligations. You have agreed to accept the responsibilities attached to your membership in this club and to obey this club's constitution and bylaws. One of the special obligations of membership is regular attendance at the weekly meetings and the monthly service committee meetings, and in participation in club projects and activities. It is the primary method of fulfilling the principles of service and fellowship, and also a way by which you represent your vocation. Madhu Naidu and Gerard, the ideal of Rotary is service. Our principal motto is service above self, and the object of this club and all Rotary clubs is to encourage and foster this ideal as a basis of worthy enterprise. You are to share in this effort for the rest of this Rotary year. I will be pleased if you would serve on the following committees. And for Madhu Naidu, your mentor is past president. Okay, sorry, let me get the text. I may have lost that, but I'll let you know separately. For now, I'll just induct both of you, okay? And your mentors will guide your assimilation through the service committee. For the classifications, Okay. Jessica, do you have the classifications? Because I think it just came in today.
Yes. For Mr. Krishna Madhu, the classification would be IT consultation services. And for Mr. Gerard Bindu, it will be think tank rule of law worldwide.
Thank you, Jessica. As you represent a classification, it is your duty to tell us about your vocation and to bring the ideals of Rotary to your business and profession. And now, by the power vested in me as President of the Rotary Club of Singapore, I declare you to be an active member of this club. I will present you with a Rotary emblem and a packet of Rotary literature at a later date. And this is because we are not physical. I especially commend to your attention the object of Rotary and the four-way test, which form the criteria for Rotarians in their daily lives. I also suggest that as and when you travel, you avail yourself of the extraordinary opportunity you will have to attend Rotary meetings and meet Rotarians throughout the world. This is another very rewarding benefit of your membership. Fellow Rotarians, I'm happy to present to you Rotarians Madhu Naidu and Gerard, our newest members. Let us unmute ourselves and welcome both Madhu Naidu and Gerard to the oldest club in District 3310, the Rotary Club of Singapore. Welcome, both of you.
Welcome.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, President, for giving me an opportunity to be a part of the Rotary Club. Rotary, I have been part of Rotary unknowingly through my friends and cousins and everyone. And thanks to Mukundan, one of his posts in LinkedIn, I got to know the activities we do here in Singapore. And immediately I reached out to Mukundan to see how I can be a part of it. And I have been doing on and off little bit here and there work with the help of friends and from the company, a little bit here and there work for the elderly, especially during the COVID situation when they were going through challenges. So we helped out. Now I'm glad that with the help of various initiatives that we are taking here at Rotary, I'll be able to add more value from time and resources perspective. I want to thank everyone, especially Mukundan, Suresh, and President Dinesh, and Mr. Tan, who met me, to give me an idea about the Rotary and the activities we do here. I'm glad that I'm being part of this esteemed group. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madhu. And can we have Gerard to say a few words about himself?
Sure. Thank you so much, everyone, for the very warm welcome. Allow me first to record my warm appreciation to President Lewis and Suresh for their guidance and support and inputs about the great work that Rotary Club has been doing, and it will be a privilege and honor to continue this work. I'm currently the Asia Pacific regional head of an American think tank called the World Justice Project, and a lot of our work involves promoting the rule of law in this region. So international travel, working with the Filipino governments, the Hong Kong governments, Indonesian, etc., has been the bread and butter of our work. Prior to which I was the deputy director in the government ministry, working with a lot of ASEAN portfolio issues, promoting and protecting the rights of women and children, persons with disabilities, and a lot of social welfare and development. And I was involved in setting up the very first ASEAN Human Rights Commission for the promotion and protection of women and children in Southeast Asia. But arguably, the most important work that I do is actually raising my two teenage daughters who are 13 and 15, who have me firmly wrapped around their fingers, and together with my wife, who unfortunately can't be with us today. She's visiting family in Munich, Germany, and sending me lots of photos about the countryside there, which I'm actually envious. But regardless, we will look forward to welcoming and seeing everyone again when we go into the new normal of phase 3A, 2A. Powers that be will decide. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Madhu, and thank you, Gerard. And Gerard, you're a bachelor, so enjoy it for the time being. Okay, so we now go back to our main meeting. I will share again. So now I have the pleasure of inviting our honorary member, past District Governor Dr. Ivor Tavarathasan, as part of KIFER, so that all our newer Rotarians who have not met PDG Ivor before, okay, will hear something about him. There are a lot of things that you can hear about him, but unfortunately, due to time constraints, okay, we have to now do an abbreviated version. But nevertheless, if you want to know more about PDG, please call him. He's ever willing to meet up with anyone. Through Zoom, I suppose, now that we are back to, having no dine-ins. Okay, but just do call him and he'll be most happy to share more about his history. PDG, over to you.
Thank you very much, President Lewis. I'll try to keep it as short as possible because in Rotary, one of the things we should all remember is time is precious, and every one of us has limited time to try and get across messages. So I'll start by saying I joined Rotary in December 1975. That's 1975. However, having gone through the Rotary ladder in the club as well as in the district, I suddenly realized that Rotary has had an impact on my life, actually from the time when I was only about 5 or 6 years old, because that was the year 1946 when my father, my late father, joined the Rotary Club of Singapore, right? 1946. So Rotary was a very family club in those days. There were no KTV lounges, no restaurants, very few restaurants really, and very few hotels and halls that where people could meet. There were less diversions than there is today. So Rotary was a family club as well as being an international club. So at least once a month, the club used to have a picnic or a gathering somewhere for the whole family to have fun. So I remember at a young age, actually making friends with other young people of my age. And I'll mention Rotarian Jamshed Medora, because his father was a Rotarian as well in this club. And our friendship goes back many, many years. So Rotary was a family club. It's not quite the same today, I guess, but there's nothing wrong in the family joining at some of our events, something maybe President Lewis and your board may consider. Anyway, to go on, I guess I joined in 1975 and went through various committees and headed various committees. I think the one that gave me a lot of joy at that time was the Youth Service Committee or New Generations Committee. And one of our landmark events we had was when the club and the service committee in Singapore won the National Youth Leadership Award. You can only win this award once in your lifetime. And the Interact movement won that award sometime in the 70s. In fact, as a result of that, the Ministry of Education wanted us, Rotary, to start Interact clubs in every school. That means every secondary school and what do they call them? Junior colleges. Yeah, but we couldn't do it because we didn't have enough Rotarians to be part of these Interact clubs. So we do have a lot of clubs in Singapore now, Interact and Rotaract, and I think we are doing a good job, but we could do more because I think youth needs help and needs guidance from good Rotarians. Well, moving on, I guess for my do's and don'ts, I was elected as district governor in the year 2004-2005. Now, that year is a very special year, and you'll probably never meet another district governor like me in our district, because that was the year I was the centennial governor. Centennial governor because that was the 100th year of Rotary. And you've got to wait another, what, 90 years or 80 odd years before you see the next one. I guess most of us won't be around at that time. So I'm the only centennial governor you'll ever meet in Singapore, at least. So it was great fun being the centennial governor. And I think one of the highlights was the meeting in the world meeting in Chicago for the 100th year. And I think we had a fantastic gathering, which is very memorable. I have speeches by various Rotary presidents given on Rotary Foundation and other Rotary topics, which I have still wish to share with the club and with Rotarians from any of the other clubs. That has impressed me tremendously about Rotary. Well, as I said, my father was a Rotarian, and he was also very active and did a lot of extraordinary things in his life. He unfortunately passed away while he was still quite young. But when he passed away at 53, he was then the vice president of Rotary International. And the story goes that if he had lived a few more years, we may have seen a Rotary International president coming from Singapore. Well, that is life, I guess. But one of his very close friends and a mentor, I guess, that my father was his mentor, was actually Rotary International President, Vichai Ratakul from Bangkok, Thailand. In fact, strangely enough, I spoke to him today just after lunch for some other reasons, and he gives his best wishes to one of his favorite clubs in our district, the Rotary Club of Singapore. So Louis, you can make mention that we have heard from Vichai Ratakul. He's getting on in years. I think he's 92 years old. But he remembers the Rotary Club of Singapore with great respect and great love. Well, I think I've spoken about enough. Life goes on, and I would like to, Rotary has a fantastic history. Please, there are many good books that past RI presidents have written or have made speeches about. World peace, disease, as you probably have heard, Rotary got involved with polio, and it's 98% rid of polio in the world. In fact, I remember as a young man, my father was a doctor just like me, and going to the Tan Tock Seng Hospital and seeing a young teenage boy in an iron lung machine because he had polio and he couldn't breathe without the aid of that machine. I mean, it was a terrible thing. He didn't live very long, I'm afraid, but it shows how important good health is. I think everyone realizes that now with the COVID pandemic on, we have to be careful. So Rotary can get involved, but I think Rotary leaders need to lead the way for the others to join in getting rid of all these nasty things that go on. Well, with that, I will say there's so much I can talk about, but the time is limited. And I thank you for this opportunity to speak to our club members. And maybe one day, if you're interested in Rotary history, maybe I can talk to the club and all of you again. Thank you very much, President Lewis.
Thank you, PDG Ivor. Can we all just unmute to give PDG a round of applause?
Thank you.
There's so much history, and believe me, that even in our installation magazines, we did have, some extracts of what Dr. Arthur Thevartasan, past Rotary International Vice President, had done. So I urge all of you to look back into our history, trove of activities there in the past, as we will continue to have more activities as we trailblaze new and more wonderful things to serve to change lives. Now it gives me great pleasure to invite another iconic member of our club, first female president and to date only female president, PP Perlita Tiro, to introduce our speaker for this evening. PP Perlita, please.
Thank you very much, President Lewis. Hey, tonight we have great pleasure in having, sorry, I haven't shared screen yet. Right, okay. Okay, we have great pleasure in having as our guest speaker, world-renowned global speaker on blockchain technology, Professor David Lee. He has actually spoken to our club a few times in the past, at least 2 or 3 times. And the first time he spoke to us, 6 years ago, that was when the Bitcoin price was only 4,450, and now it is 31,500. So if any of you actually followed his advice at the time, maybe Programs Director Joseph Chia did, you'll be very, very rich by now, following that advice. And he has 20 years of experience in industry and now embarks on the missions of inclusive FinTech, privacy protection, and digital literacy. He is professor of at the Singapore University of Social Sciences, chairman of the Global FinTech Institute, which administers the Chartered FinTech Professional Qualification, an angel investor, so he walks the talk. He's a founder of several companies like Left Coast, Libai, and Feral Group, founding investor in Qcash, Qtum, and other blockchain companies and cryptocurrency. He has got a bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degrees from the University of London School of Economics and Political Science. Now, very important information is he's the filial son of our the late member of our club, Professor Lee Fook Hong, Dr. Lee Fook Hong, who was a senior member of our club from 1972 to 2005. He served as member of the board of PPJK Ong together with me in 2002 and 2003. He was the most renowned chartered secretary practitioner for over 3 decades in Singapore. As a matter of fact, he founded the ICSA in Singapore, having been a member for 50 years of that particular institute, which is now called the Chartered Governance Institute in the UK. So I hope that our guest speaker, Professor Dr. Lee, will follow the footsteps of his father by joining us, joining the Rotary Club of Singapore. Fellow Rotarians and friends, let us now welcome our guest speaker, Professor David Lee.
Thank you very much. It is indeed a great honor to be here, and thanks to Joseph for inviting me and Rotary Club for inviting me. I think this is the third time I'm invited back, and it is always a great honor to be here. And every time I'm at Rotary Club meeting, it reminds me of my late father, who actually really treasure his membership of this association. And I have 20 minutes today, so what I'll do is that I'll go through a little bit of what is going on in the world, and some of this technology are actually given to us to do good. And this is the theme of the talk today. We hear a lot of things about a lot of this technology, and this is the third time that I continue to emphasize. Just like COVID, there are a lot of misinformation. And here, in the FinTech world, you will hear a lot of such information that we really need to spend a lot more time discerning, investigating, as well as getting the knowledge to see how we can actually have a clear view of what's going on in the world. So the title of today's talk is Inclusive FinTech. Not just about talking about FinTech, but in the area of how can we be more inclusive. And if you have been watching how the world has been developing, there's only one country that actually have been walking the talk, and it is China. And it has got about 800 to a billion people out from poverty from the 1990s. That I went with my father to China. I swear to myself in 1990 that after 2 years that following him around China, that I will never go back to China again, because it was so sad to see so many poor people and the way they were living. It was painful, and I was glad that my grandfather came to Singapore. But after 20 years going back to China, it is a total different experience. They're so advanced, in taking care of the poor and the needy. They top the chart in the 5,000 years histories of the human race. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, how that comes about, and I'm going to talk about a little bit of crypto and also what is token, and finally, what is happening in the world. All the goods and services that we produce, where is the rightful destination of all these that we are producing? From the food that we eat, from the mask that we wear, and also from the vaccine that we are actually receiving. So this is what I intend to just go through in the next 10 to 20 minutes. And obviously, it is about the fourth industrial revolution. It's important to note that whichever country that will ride on this industrial revolution will be the power of the world. And it's going to bring about a lot of changes to the rest of the world. And what are the technologies that involve? If I have time, I'll talk about that. But more importantly, I will talk about the trend in the cryptocurrencies and non-fungible tokens, of what is happening there. It is just not about speculation. No, it is about a new way of doing things, and perhaps the younger people have a much clearer idea of what it's all about. And perhaps those of us who are watching Loki, who was watching Marvel's comics, and those of us who are familiar with multiverse, and those of us who are got our degree in physics or mathematics can understand a lot more of what is going on about having multiverse universe in our existence, and also the convergence of technology, of how different type of technology is going to converge, that we will feel totally differently. And the movie Matrix 4 is coming, and if you have not watched that, you can watch Matrix 1, 2, and 3. You can understand the power of AR, VR, and now they have XR in China. And all this will lead to a very different world. And it's almost like the Matrix world that we're talking about. And that comes to very important questions about being human-centric. How do we retain human choices? Something that's given to us, which is so sacred, that with all these technologies that's ongoing, with the data they're collecting from us, how can we remain independent in our decisions and still allowing us to do what we need to do? Can you imagine that you start to travel and you have different vaccines and you're being discriminated based on different vaccines, that you can't go on the train, you can't get out of the house? That's not in the movie. That's happening now. And technology will change the world, and once they are tracking you, you will not be able to travel if you are just not of the right features that whoever is in charge. And this is very scary when it comes to convergence of technology, because independent choices has been given to us as something which is very sacred, as the ultimate human-centric that we need to retain in order for us, when we talk about an inclusive world, we talk about an independent world, but it has to be individual choice that doesn't impose externality on other people, but it's the basic human dignity that you should have. So this is where privacy, stability, and sustainability that we are talking about. And the only way for mankind to prosper is to focus on the universal distribution of goods and services. While the technologies are readily available, and it all comes to digital inclusion, there are still a lot of people out there who do not have 3G, 4G, let alone 5G or 6G. How do we even out the playing field? This is something that we need to think much deeper about. And this is where some of the initiatives that I'm working on with central banks, with UNDP, and with Asia Development Bank. But first of all, we need to understand what is the fourth industrial revolution. You hear a lot about that the fourth industrial revolution, especially Alibaba, Jack Ma is always talking about the fourth industrial revolution is about AI, it's about it's about data, and that is not really true, because AI and big data alone is not sustainable. It leads to winner takes all. No government will allow that to happen. If there's anything that Americans and China see eye to eye, is that they are very much against surveillance capitalism. In other words, to profit from the data that they collected from the users. This is something that there are so many disagreements between China and US. There's one point that they both agree on, that we cannot have this capitalism where data is the resources, and after you use AI to analyze it, you become the winner that takes everything from everybody else who are contributing the data to you. So whoever contributes the data should strictly be getting a reward for it, because the new world is just not about working, not about not about just about working, not about just about labor, but it's your contribution to an entire ecosystem that your data helps to make this a better world. And you should be rewarded if you contribute content. You should be rewarded if you contribute comments. You should be contributed if you contribute any scans of your that you have to make cancer detection a lot more accurate. Okay, so the main thing about the fourth industrial revolution, first of all, is about peer-to-peer communication. And we know that currently communication, what we are using the internet is still very much centralized. But in future, you will see a lot more peer-to-peer communication where there's no central telecom company that's working there. And you shall see it will move even beyond, and it's quite scary. Sometimes all that we're talking about is going to move beyond governments, beyond the earth, going into the universe. And one good example that we are thinking about is Elon Musk. Elon Musk is, if it's going into space, in the space station, into Mars, into the moon, into mining in the space, then in some ways it is above the governance of what we define as government. And with that will come peer-to-peer communication, where you actually won't have a telecom company all around the world, but there'll be satellite, everybody will be sending satellite. They'll be communicating with each other, and that's what Elon Musk is doing as well. That we can see a lot of mesh network that's happening, not just is a very powerful Wi-Fi box. Those are the latest technology, and it's going to be the fourth industrial revolution. And people will have the computer onto the edge computing, your own car, your own autonomous transformer that's follow you. You think that the Transformer movie is just a thought, but you think about what China is doing. They're giving 1.4 billion their own transformer, their own vehicle. And this vehicle can transform into a laborer that carry their bags, that do things for them. So everybody, if 1.4 million transformer for each Chinese citizen, you can imagine why China is working so hard on the autonomous vehicle, because that can allow China to grow for a long, long time, because China has all the raw materials for the fourth industrial revolution. Not everyone would have the raw materials. Without the raw materials, without the supply chain, there's no tech war to talk about. And then the other thing is very interesting is the peer-to-peer exchange of value. If you look at Elon Musk, he has renamed the chief financial officer to Master of Coin. And the Master of Coin is a title given in the series. Anyone know what that series is? It's a game. Is the series name? It starts with game. Anyone? Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Yes, thank you. So Game of Thrones has got Master of Coin, and his name is CFO is Master of Coin. So you can be very clear what his mind is. He's going to have a universal coin, a coin that can be used in the universe, not just in country, not just cross country, but into space. And all these are going to be backed by other form of trust. And in the physical world, the trust is based on the land you have, the resources you have, the military that you have. So you can keep printing money if you have a powerful military. You can keep printing money if you can prove that you can repay your debt. You can keep printing money. You can prove that your income will continue to go up and you're innovative. But a peer-to-peer exchange of value means that there's no intermediaries. There's no third-party trust, a trusted third party. A trusted third party will be like a licensed institution like a bank, or a licensed institution like a insurance company. And if you look at Star Wars and so on, there's just no, the Federation is all broken down, right? So you can see that where we are heading, okay, as we go ahead, where all these technologies are developing. Well, if you'll be wondering, let me show you something that I share now with you. Okay. Don't know whether you can see that. Hopefully you can see. Now this is coinmarketcap.com. If you're not familiar, maybe your children or your grandchildren will be very familiar with all the cryptocurrency. They're all gamers. They play games and so on. They trade their goods, or you do farm track or whatever. you buy the fruits and so on, you have your own digital currencies, and cryptocurrency is just one form of digital currency. And you probably have heard about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so on. You can see the market cap is 1.227 trillion, and you can go down the list. That's how many coins there are. Okay, there are many, there are 58 pages. Okay, so there are 5,800 or more that cryptocurrencies over there that you see for different purposes. They are not just for one purpose. They're all for different purposes. They have their own community. They run their own governance and so on. And you can look at NFTs. If you are wondering what is NFTs, you will be reminded of this when you read from Straits Times, the mystery Singapore buyer of 93 million digital art as Christie auction. This is the 5,000 days, and this person has got a handle called Meta Coven, a Sri Lanka person from Sri Lanka but based in Singapore. In the London Christie, he bought this painting, but there are many, many NFTs. There's a non-fungible tokens. They are tokens formed by so-called coding, and the coding is known as smart contract, putting onto a blockchain, a distributed ledger where no centralized institutions are in charge. And probably he bought the cryptocurrency called Ether at a very cheap rate, maybe about $2 or $3. So it doesn't cost him 93 million, maybe a few $1,000s. But to the rest of the world, it looks like 93 million. So the key question is, what are they doing? Okay, now you can see that going back to all this Polkadot, going back to all this Binance. Okay, Tomasik is invested in Binance via the Vertex, which is an exchange. They have the Binance coin and so on. Going to Solano, going to Hecco, and going to yield farming, and going to DeFi, which is decentralized finance. These are all activities without any central authority. They exist on their own. They just trade on their own, but governments are using the technology for their own advantages. So every country is competing with each other with the central bank digital currency based on all this technology. And all these NFTs, Polkadot, BSC, Solano, they can be viewed as venture capital. Even cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Ether, you can view them as venture capital with immediate redemption. And the whole purpose is to invest into peripheral companies that build the ecosystem, so to help to increase the demand for the coin so that the prices will go up. Okay, so the prices is actually the valuation of the ecosystem. So we look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance, Cardano, and all this cryptocurrency and NFTs and others as venture capital, short term, democratized. Anyone can buy and sell $1, 10 cents, or 5 cents, and you don't have to lock up for 7 years to 10 years. Then you start to have a very different perspective of what this is about, right? Because they build an ecosystem. Now, when you build an ecosystem, it's all about network effect. In other words, what you want to do is to bring in people who are talented, bring in people who are without jobs, bring people to enhance their earnings and their network. And if you look around during the COVID, there's a group of people, and you see the digital art that we're talking about. These people all work in animation. They do all the animation for Hollywood movies, for Star Wars, and others, and they were without jobs for a long time. So each round that Ethereum, a lot of these NFTs are built on the Ethereum network, they always look out for people who are underserved, who are needy, and they bring them into the network, and usually they're very talented. And once they brought them in, they put the digital out for sale, you actually enhance their position and give them a way to make their living and therefore the prices of Ether go up because they reside on the network. So if you view that from their perspective, they are actually extending the network by serving the needy in areas that market. They can't afford to buy the properties. They feel that they are not wanted, and we are having a lot of psychology problems, and they study very hard. They see no way out. And whenever Elon Musk appeal to them, they will just follow him. And if you were wondering why that is the case, and as they expose some of this, like Robinhood, that collude with the fund managers to take advantage of the investors, you begin to understand what the line of thought of all these young people. So today's my talk is to have a different thinking, have a different dimension of thinking about what is going on, because the youth is the future of our planet. And we really have to pay a bit more attention to what they're thinking. And this area of cryptocurrency, NFTs, metaverse, and so on, are all very different. The metaverse meaning they move into a XR, AR space. They have their own house there. They have their own paintings there, which is digital art. They have their own things. So when they're free, they just go into this space. And if we are not guiding them as doubts, as Rotarian, as experienced people, then the young may be lost in this metaverse that we have. And it's important for us to take an interest. And for me, I invest and try to understand them and try to guide them to ensure that they go in the right direction, because the young people are moving into a total different direction from what we are looking into. I think I have another 5 minutes, if you allow me, and I'll finish off very soon. So this is what we have, and this is what the government are doing. Okay, this is the central bank digital currency. The government understand this. The government understand this. Initially, they didn't understand. And when China started doing this, everybody they were saying that I'm not going to have digital currency. But as time goes on, just like cryptocurrency, they're beginning to understand, and they harness the goodness of the cryptocurrency and create their own digital currency. And the e-renminbi is becoming to be used in the Winter Olympics. And obviously the politics has just started that Americans has just asked their Olympics not to use the ECNY. But China is using this to continue to do the Belt Road Initiative, and it'll be very interesting. I don't have time to talk about this, but I've written quite a lot of paper on this, and I'm actually an advisor to ADB on central bank digital currencies, and we work a lot on this area to see what is happening. Okay, but I don't have much time, but it will even out the playing field and bring back for digital inclusion, because the Chinese will treat the wallets and bank branches. You think about it, the Chinese already know, and they have never have any branches offshore, hardly any ATMs or branches for Chinese banks, because the future bank is just e-wallets. If you have a wallet, you have a branch for bank. So China is going to allow McDonald's, Starbucks, and all to have an e-wallet, and those are the branches for anyone with a lot of people in Myanmar, in Laos, in all remote area in Africa, remote area in South America, because they are doing digital inclusion. Not only that, but also include education. So this is what is happening. And why are they doing that? Because they understand that to grow, the Chinese believe that you don't continue to have money concentrated in a few persons' hand. You need to ensure that there's an even spread of income. A $1 given to a needy, the needy will spend $1 or more. But $1 given to somebody who is already not in a needy situation may spend a lot less than $1. So if more money is going to hands of the non-needy, then the economy is not going to grow. So the only way to do this is to have an even distribution of income so that the marginal propensity of consumption will then go out. And when the MPC goes up, then the rest of the world will start to grow. And this is the philosophy of what the Chinese is thinking, and more so the rest of the government who is doing the CBDC. We need to have an even spread of income, and AI and big data is not helping that. And blockchain, cryptocurrencies, and the rest are helping that, and the government is harnessing those technology to achieve its purpose of having a universal destination of goods and services, but distributing them evenly. And this is the kind, I don't know whether you have watched the interview of the CEO of Sinovac, who is a student of ours. He's a NUS graduate, and he's the CEO of Sinovac. And there's an interview of him, English subtitle, and I urge you to take a look to understand the philosophy of even vaccine distribution. And that will give us a general idea of how vaccine is being made and what's the purpose of doing that. And are we very much constrained by the kind of set rules and regulation that we have to abide by, that we need to break out in order to have a universal distribution of goods and services. So with that, I end today's talk. And thank you very much for inviting me. And I hope I trigger some thoughts in you. It may be very provocative, but that's why I'm here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor David. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing with us so much information. And now call upon our Rotarian Hayden Hughes to give a vote of thanks to Professor. Hayden, over to you.
Wait,
Thank you so much.
Sorry, there's a Q&A session.
All right. Okay.
Okay. Mr. Lee, thank you so much. It's been so enlightening hearing from you this evening. And as someone who works in the cryptocurrency industry, and I've worked closely in this space for many years, it's very interesting to hear not only your thesis around this idea of a redeemable venture capital ecosystem valuation metric, but also the deeper questions around central bank digital currencies. So please, on behalf of the Rotary Club, let me extend a warm vote of thanks and cheers as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll now open the floor for a few questions related to crypto. I'm still digesting what the whole thing is about. That's why we'll need to learn how to earn more money to do good, as what Professor has said. So questions, please.
I see a question there from Mr. Vivek. Has the luster of crypto faded off, or is it teething problems or new ecosystem? I don't really know where the market is going, but as I mentioned before, don't underestimate the ability of Ethereum and the smartest people in this world who know how to build network effect. And they're very good in doing that by attracting talented people. I think the key to valuation is the network effect. So once you understand that, I always say that don't chase return, but let return chase you. By doing good and focusing on investing in companies that do good, you will see the kind of return. So in terms of the cryptos, it's a very huge area. What I'm seeing is that you see that there are a lot more interest, there are a lot of institutions' interest, and there is a lot of fear of the US dollar. And to be frank, I've been in investment for many, many years. And the reason why I came into the crypto in 2013 was that I was nervous about the US dollar. Back in 2013, I'm even more nervous about the US dollar now in 2021. And we can only park our dollars, our money in so many places. And it's no coincidence that all money are moving into a lot of landed properties now in Singapore, especially for bungalows. There's no more under 30 million now. class bungalow, because foreigners and locals, the old money are all out in trying to park their money. So I'm not surprised that as time goes on, people will start to realize that there are only few places that they can park. And remember that crypto is, a lot of people who invest in crypto hopes that their crypto goes to zero. Okay, because the other 90% of their wealth is in non-crypto. They're investing in crypto is just in case. The other 90% shrink to 30%, and the 10% goes to 70%. And that's the motivation of a lot of people who are doing asset allocation, that they allocate 5 to 10% into crypto for the reason that they hope it goes to zero. Therefore, the 90% are wealth and safe. But the key question is, what if the 90% goes to 30? And what happened to your other asset? Then the crypto 10% will make up to 70. So it's a very interesting investment philosophy that invests in something and hope it goes to zero. And it's like an option that never expires. So this is what I want to share with you. Despite what you hear, you need to have your own asset allocation, strategy, and consult your licensed private bankers for doing that. I'm not licensed to do that. The second question is the misconception about traditional finance, or BTC, to replace traditional financial currencies. So Hayden, is that I think that it is just like the vaccine, right? Unless you are in research, like myself, we read free journal. I'm a statistician. I look at data all the time. I understand all the biostatistics. You will never be able to understand crypto fully. So this will continue for years, and that makes it interesting. And it's therefore important for Global FinTech Institute to work with all the central banks to ensure that those people who are doing good, we give them a lift, right? Whether it's investment or whether it's the platform, that's the most powerful thing that we can do to help to identify those who are doing good and may have the most social impact and promote impact investing into the crypto world. Then by doing and by seeing the results, by solving the unemployment problem, by solving a lot more issues when the hardship comes, because as it unfolds, then the truth will come out. It is not by coincidence that this is the third time here I'm giving a talk on cryptocurrency, right? If I were not saying something that makes sense, I think I will disappear somewhere. But I approach the subject very independently. I approach the subject from the heart. I approach the subject with no constraint of the incumbent interests. It is not easy because the incumbent is a lot more powerful than we think. And therefore, it's very important to discern. It's very important to rely on a lot of help that you need, from unseen forces, right? From our creator, to try to see what's the best that you can do within the limited space and time, especially at my age, to ensure that the right message reach out there so that people will continue to do good and do well. It's not enough to just do good, because if you just do good and you don't do well, you can't, it's not sustainable. So it's important to, one way to do good is to invest into this area, and then to ensure that you guide with your own experience, with your wide experience, to guide them, because young people, a lot of them are just tech people. And tech people are not like business people that we worry about regulation. We are experienced with the legal structure and so on. They need our help. But rather than saying that, this is a bunch of wacko, this is a bunch of people, they do have some message for us to learn from them. So this is my answer to Hayden, and thank you very much. I think I've taken up too much time. I'll pass back to you and say good night to everyone. Thank you very much.
So Professor, if we have one last question for you.
Sure.
Anyone?
John Gores had a question.
John, would you like to ask your question here?
Prof. David, do you have time for one?
Sure, sure. I'm always happy for Rotary Club. Great honor.
Thank you, Prof. Yes, John, would you like to ask your questions?
I don't see John there.
John is here. Maybe his connection had some problem because earlier he was here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Till John comes in, can I ask a question? This is Subhash, President.
Sure, please do.
Yeah. Professor Lee, it has been a wonderful presentation and candid explanation by you. I was just wondering, we in Singapore are very kiasu, you know. We are born kiasu here. Now, what is happening in Singapore? We are not allowed to buy cryptocurrency if you're a normal investor, not the super investor like the private equity and all that. The limit is up to $30,000. Now, we have been always, as a Singaporean, conceding that we are ahead of the curve and we are more digitally much stronger than the other people used to be. Now, how our central banks will handle this situation, because when it comes to scheme of things, probably we are much smaller player compared to US and China. How and when do you think we'll start getting the advantage of being in very critical location like Singapore in terms of cryptocurrency?
I think Singapore is really leading in the world. We have, if you look at the new company formation, you look at the new employment, they are mostly in the crypto and fintech world. So Singapore in the blockchain and crypto has actually in many ways contributed to conferences, travels, meetings. The FinTech Festival, you look deeper into it, it is not bank tech. It's actually a lot is FinTech. A lot of people tend to think that it's bank tech, but it is not, it's FinTech. And FinTech is mainly cryptography. FinTech is mainly onto private and public key. FinTech is mainly into like all the company at Binance, Huobi, anything that you see on the screen that I show you, they all have offices here. The thousands and thousands of offices of cryptocurrencies are all here. Unfortunately, you only hear about the people we don't know. The scammers are the one that is not active in the community. And if we have known about it, we have told MES about it. And the fact that these scammers avoided all the radar of the community, that we don't know who they are. And when it surfaced, it was too late. But you can actually purchase all this quite easily. You can open an account quite easily. And the risk management, when you start opening an account with like Binance or open an account with Coinbase, you realize that they are a lot more risk averse than the local banks here. And they actually track you in many ways, your GPS and a lot of things that they are a lot more tech savvy than the traditional financial firm. So when you mentioned that you can't buy, yes, you can. Coinbase is regulated in America, right? So you look for some of the regulated, eToro is regulated in other jurisdictions. DBS here only served the high net worth, is regulated by MES. So you can see that many of them are regulated by different jurisdictions. And cryptocurrency is a legal payment system in Japan, and they have a lot of Japanese exchanges which are legal too. So if you just Google, you can see that you can get protection from the regulators by dabbling with crypto, but to ensure that you deal with those that has licenses. You know, I hope I answer your questions.
Yeah, Professor, I just supplement it. Like in Binance, you can buy only cryptocurrency up to $30,000. I have an account with them. They won't sell me beyond $30,000.
Binance.SG specifically.
Binance SG. And I cannot open the account Binance US. Then again, when it comes to the to the Coinbase, again, it links with my credit card account and it's limited to certain amount. I don't know what is the fact. You know, that's what I was wondering.
You can top up
30,000 a
Gemini
year is
with
not.
a lot.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, John. Go ahead.
Yeah, Prof. David, if you can hear me now, apologies. I had an unstable connection. I moved out to the living room. First of all, I want to thank you on behalf of the whole Rotary, but also myself. It was very forward-looking, very neutral, very supportive conversation, and I'd love to hear it. My question is, in your opinion, best guess, for the decentralized protocols, how long to mass adoption or critical mass adoption? So for example, and so I don't mean the central bank currencies or digital currencies, but specifically if you use Bitcoin as a layer 1 and a series of DeFi protocols as layer 2, how many years out do you think we are to some critical mass of adoption? Is this a decade, or is this 3 decades, or is this 3 years?
Okay, if you look at some of the government platform, right? You look at OpenCert, which is by GovTech. If you look at Trust Trade, I don't know whether you look at Trade Trust. You look at these are all on Ethereum. They use Ethereum network, right? So if Trade Trust take off, then Ethereum will take off too, right? So if OpenCert take off, which all our universities are using it to issue our certificate through the Ministry of Education, the hash reside on Ethereum. So if you look at it, we have a lot of other projects, HealthCert, that they are exploring using public blockchain. So it is not true that it takes many years. There are many other projects in this world that the government are already starting to use public blockchain. And you can see that some of the government, where they distrust the monetary system, they are starting to use this cryptocurrency. Or Elon Musk, his universe coin may just use any coin. There's no one in charge, because for him, no one in charge of any coin is very important. He doesn't want to have anyone a centralized coin. He wants a coin which is truly decentralized, like Dogecoin, like Bitcoin, or any coins that maybe Litecoin, I don't know. But so I think it's nearer than it is. Last year, I was asked a question in many webinars: when will CBDC take off? The panel were all experts. I didn't say a word, but the rest of the panelists were saying that 6 years. And you know what? CBDC is now in Cambodia, right? Blockchain based, is a blockchain cryptocurrency, is a government cryptocurrency, right? And once people are used to cryptocurrency and they get educated, they will start to know this is a government cryptocurrency, and government cryptocurrency is known as CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency. But the cryptocurrency that we know works on the same principle. So as they get more familiar, the private key, public key, it will just grow exponentially. It will just grow. It will not retreat. That's my own view. I hope I answer your question.
So we're globally at, I think, all in for the decentralized protocols, 1% adoption rate. How long to 30% adoption rate? Best guess.
Yeah, I would just think that within 2 or 3 years, you will have mass adoption. And,
okay.
And the mass adoption start from government. Government will harness the DeFi. So thank you very much, everyone.
Okay.
Sorry that I've taken so much time. I shall now pass back to the President. Thank you very much for inviting me. I want to say good night to everyone, and good night, Joseph, as well. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay,
David.
let's unmute and thank Professor.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.
So we now have the next item, and that is our next speaker for next week. So as you can see, the speaker for next week is Dr. Wong Sweet Fan, who is from Khoo Teck Puat Hospital, and the topic is Share a Pod Project. This will be one of the very interesting topics that we are going to have. In fact, this might well be one of the major project or the major project that we are going to embark on. And she will be here next week to share with us about what she is doing and how, our club can play a part. This topic about Share a Pod project has been raised and been spoken about at the board. So at the right time, after the presentation by Dr. Wong, the board will then make a decision to present to the club various options for major project 2021, 2022. Our plan is really quite simple. Let's get it rolling as early as possible and then gain traction so that we can really start to serve to change lives based on what we want to do as a club. So with that, we have come to the end of this evening's meeting. It has been such an exciting evening for our first official meeting where we invite friends and also potential members. I'd like to thank all the members who have come and dialed in from overseas. Your presence really made us very proud to be as a family of the Rotary Club of Singapore. And for those who have thoughts about doing new things in your subcommittees, please share it openly. The success of every subcommittee is your engagement and your participation. And I'm very pleased that we rolled off our, at least for now, the first CSC project last Saturday, led by Director Peter Brock. We thank everyone who had participated in that event. So I call to a close today for meeting. Meeting is closed now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, President, thank you very much. Tomorrow we are having the first YSC meeting and followed by this week, the first ILTC camp.
Yes, thank you. So for those who are in YSC or non-YSC, please feel free to join in. The link has been sent. Please support all subcommittees even though you are not a member of that subcommittee. Thank you.
Thank you, President.
Stay back for some fellowship for those who have time.
Thanks, President Louis.
Thank you.